Loneliness after the age of 60 is not something that suddenly appears one morning like an illness, but rather something that slowly settles into your life so quietly that many people don't even realize it's happening until it has already wrapped itself around their thoughts, their emotions, and their daily routines. Because from the outside, nothing seems obviously wrong, yet inside, something feels deeply off. You may still wake up in your own home, eat your meals, watch television, go to sleep at night, and from the perspective of others, your life may look calm and stable. But what they cannot see is the growing silence between moments, the lack of meaningful conversation, the absence of feeling truly needed or emotionally connected, and over time, that silence becomes heavier than any noise. Many people over 60 tell themselves that this is just part of aging, that feeling lonely is normal, that they should accept it quietly and not complain. But the truth is that loneliness is not an unavoidable stage of life, and it is certainly not harmless, because when it lingers too long, it can slowly damage mental health, weaken emotional resilience, and make each day feel harder than it needs to be. In this video, we are going to talk honestly and deeply about loneliness after 60, why it becomes so common at this stage of life, why it is far more dangerous to your mental health than most people realize, and how you can begin protecting your emotional well-being, even if your world feels smaller, quieter, or more distant than it once did. 1. Loneliness often starts when you no longer feel needed or important. For many people after 60, the deepest form of loneliness does not come from being physically alone, but from the painful realization that the roles which once gave their life meaning have slowly faded away, whether that role was working every day, raising children, supporting a family, or simply being someone others relied on regularly. And when those roles disappear without being replaced, it leaves behind a quiet emotional vacuum that is difficult to describe, but impossible to ignore. When no one is calling to ask for your help, when no one is waiting for your contribution, and when your days no longer have a clear sense of purpose, the mind naturally begins to question its own value, and thoughts like, "Do I still matter?" or "What is my place now?" start appearing more often, especially during long, quiet moments when there is nothing to distract you. This loss of purpose slowly turns into loneliness because human beings are not designed to feel useful only in the past, and when the present offers no sense of relevance, the heart begins to feel disconnected, even if family members still love you and care about you in their own way. Over time, this kind of loneliness can subtly affect mental health by lowering motivation, increasing feelings of emptiness, and making everyday activities feel less meaningful, which then creates a cycle where people withdraw further, reinforcing the belief that they are no longer important, even though that belief is not true. 2. Your social world shrinks, but no one prepares you for how emotionally painful that can be. As people move past 60, their social world often becomes smaller for reasons beyond their control, such as retirement, health issues, loss of friends or a spouse, or children becoming busy with their own lives. And while these changes are common, they are rarely talked about honestly, leaving many people unprepared for the emotional impact that follows. Conversations that once happened naturally every day begin to disappear. Phone calls become less frequent, invitations come less often, and without realizing it, weeks can pass without a deep or meaningful interaction, which slowly creates a sense of emotional starvation, even if you are surrounded by familiar faces. Making new connections at this age can feel intimidating because many people believe that friendships are supposed to happen earlier in life, and this belief alone can stop them from reaching out, trying new activities, or opening themselves emotionally, leading to further isolation that feels safer in the short term, but more damaging in the long run. Over time, this shrinking social circle can make life feel repetitive and emotionally flat, where each day blends into the next, increasing the risk of anxiety, low mood, and a sense of hopelessness, all of which quietly erode mental health if left unaddressed. One of the most dangerous things about loneliness after 60 is that it does not simply stay in the heart as a feeling, but slowly spreads into the brain, affecting the way you think, remember, and emotionally respond to the world. Because human brains are wired for connection, conversation, and emotional feedback, and when those things disappear, the brain begins to suffer in silence. When days pass without meaningful interaction, the mind has fewer chances to stay mentally stimulated, which can gradually weaken concentration, slow thinking, and increase forgetfulness, making many people believe they are just getting old, when in reality, their brain is being deprived of social nourishment it desperately needs. Loneliness also increases the risk of depression and anxiety, because when you spend too much time alone with your thoughts, especially without emotional support or reassurance from others, negative thinking patterns can grow stronger, turning small worries into overwhelming fears and simple sadness into a constant low mood that is hard to shake. Over time, this mental strain can make people more emotionally sensitive, more easily frustrated, and less patient with themselves, which then reinforces isolation, because when you don't feel mentally strong, you are less likely to reach out, socialize, or try new experiences, creating a quiet but powerful downward spiral. 4. Many people don't realize they are lonely because loneliness doesn't always look like sadness. Loneliness after 60 is often misunderstood because it does not always appear as obvious crying or visible despair, but instead shows up in subtle ways that are easy to ignore or explain away, such as losing interest in things you once enjoyed, feeling tired for no clear reason, or spending more time watching television simply to fill the silence. Some people become emotionally numb rather than sad, going through the motions of daily life without excitement, curiosity, or anticipation, which can feel safer than pain, but slowly drains life of meaning and emotional richness. Others may become more irritable, impatient, or critical, not because they are angry people, but because prolonged emotional isolation wears down tolerance and emotional flexibility, making even small frustrations feel overwhelming. Sleep problems are also common, as loneliness can make nights feel longer and thoughts feel louder, leading to difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, which further weakens mental health and emotional resilience during the day. Because these signs develop gradually, many people normalize them, telling themselves that this is just what aging looks like, without realizing that loneliness is quietly shaping their mental and emotional state behind the scenes. 5. Protecting your mental health after 60 starts with rebuilding connection, not forcing happiness. Protecting your mental health after 60 does not mean pretending to be positive all the time or forcing yourself into uncomfortable social situations, but rather gently rebuilding meaningful connection in ways that feel natural, manageable, and emotionally safe for where you are in life right now. Connection does not always mean large social circles or constant activity. Sometimes it begins with one regular conversation, one shared routine, or one place where you feel seen and appreciated, because even small, consistent interactions can dramatically improve emotional well-being. Finding purpose again is equally important, whether that purpose comes from volunteering, mentoring, learning something new, or simply having a reason to show up somewhere regularly, because purpose gives the mind direction and loneliness less space to grow. It is also crucial to be honest with yourself about how you are feeling, because acknowledging loneliness is not a sign of weakness, but the first step toward protecting your mental health, as unspoken pain tends to grow stronger, while acknowledged pain becomes easier to manage. Over time, these small but intentional steps can help restore emotional balance, strengthen mental clarity, and remind you that even after 60, life still holds opportunities for connection, meaning, and emotional fulfillment. Loneliness after 60 is not something you should feel ashamed of, hide from, or silently endure, because it is not a personal failure, not a weakness, and not a sign that your life no longer has value, but rather a signal from your mind and heart that you still need connection, meaning, and emotional nourishment, just like you always have. Many people spend years telling themselves that it's too late to change, that making new connections is no longer possible, or that this quiet, isolated life is simply the way things are now. But the truth is that loneliness only becomes permanent when we stop believing we deserve better. Even small changes, like having one regular conversation, one place to go where you feel welcomed, or one reason to get up in the morning with intention, can slowly begin to restore emotional balance and mental clarity, because the human mind heals best through connection, not isolation. You are not invisible, you are not finished, and your emotional well-being still matters deeply, even if the world around you sometimes feels distant or quiet. If you are over 60 and this video made you feel understood, even just a little, I want you to know that you are not alone in this experience, and the first step toward protecting your mental health is simply acknowledging how you feel instead of pushing it away. Take a moment today to reach out to someone, leave a comment, share your thoughts, or simply say, "I relate to this," because connection often begins with one small act of courage. If you found this video helpful, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may be feeling lonely but doesn't know how to talk about it, because sometimes a single video can open a door that has been closed for a very long time. And remember, growing older does not mean growing disconnected, and your story is still being written.